If you're wondering about selling your home while living in Orange County, then you're in the right place. On this channel, we're sharing all the tools for first time home sellers and covering topics like, is it time to sell my house? And even providing you with the occasional sell your home checklist so that you'll know how to put the most do-re-mi in your pocket when you sell your home. Now let's get started with today's episode. Hi there, my name is Rami like Do-Re-Mi. I am a top producing agent, a best-selling author, and an award-winning interior designer. I've been doing real estate for well over 20 years across 4 states, and I have a few things that I'd like to share with you, a few insider tips for when you get ready to sell your home or maybe buy your next home. And stay with me till the end of the video. I'm going to share with you one crazy, stupid, silly, but true real estate story. It's the favorite part of what I do, and you won't want to miss it. Now let's get started. All right, let me switch over to my laptop. Here we go. It's tempting to list your home after making the decision to sell, but there's a lot to check off your checklist before your home even hits the market. Let's not wait till Thursday to see whether you're ready for the weekend. To make sure you get the most do-re-mi for your home, let's create a checklist. And this one today is really asking a more basic question: is it time to sell my house? At the end, I'll show you how to score this checklist to know if you're ready to sell your home. You know, simple tasks can make a huge difference. Sometimes we're so used to living in our home that we don't see it the way buyers will see it. And a lot of it is psychological. So clean the windows, open up the drapes, and change all the light bulbs to brighter bulbs. Consider hiring a handyman for a half day just to take care of the little things: squeaky hinges, doors that don't quite close right, or even updating cabinet hardware and other fixtures. It's also a great idea to hire a cleaning service to clean light fixtures and ceiling fans, window sills, and glass door tracks, or even a gardener to add some curb appeal. These very small details can often bring a higher price because perception is everything. I can't tell you how many times a buyer has said to me, "Doesn't seem like they're taking very good care of their home. Do you think this is a distressed sale? Could we get it for less?" All right, let's get started with the first item on our checklist. All right, here's the first item on our checklist. I don't know where this baby comes from, but it's very zen, isn't it? So our first item is this: can you check the box that says, I have no emotional attachment. I'm willing to sell quickly and at a fair market value. We do sometimes get an emotional attachment, especially if we've lived in our home for a number of years and maybe even raised our family. Maybe we've watched our grandbabies on Sunday afternoon. Maybe we've gone through a divorce and it's tough to move on. But we take our memories with us. We take our heart and soul with us. So let's let go of any emotional attachment and put our emotions into our photos and videos and keep those close to our hearts. Sometimes there's a new family who will love our home just as much as we did. With that being done, are we ready to sell quickly? Are we ready to bid a fond farewell? And so this item number 1 on our checklist is really a mindset issue, or maybe an emotional preparedness issue. Because if our house is priced at fair market value, it will sell quickly. The market always speaks. Now, we've talked about this before, that we know statistically that a house will sell within 2 weeks of being priced right. So that's your best marketing strategy. See the top of the graph? That's the 30-day mark, and that's your sweet spot. As agents, we do a lot of amazing things to bring exposure to your home, but you also have the authority to set the price and change the price so that you can sell before that 30-day mark. Remember, if our house is priced at fair market value, it will sell quickly. The market always speaks. So let's be emotional ready when that happens. Okay, let's move on. And here is number 2 on our checklist. I have decluttered my house and taken away all personal items so that buyers can see it as their home. People are judgmental and sometimes crazy, right? Buyers can walk into your home and see something that you think is just beautiful, treasured, amazing. But a buyer, they may scream and say, "What is that?" And if that happens, they literally can't see anything else around them. They get hung up. They may even begin to call your house the crazy house and then scratch it off their list, even though it might be the one house that would make the most sense for their family. I've just seen it happen too many times. Like the story I told you last week about the buyer who noticed a smell in the bathroom only to find an alligator in the bathtub. Think they bought that house? Probably not. So let's declutter your home of all alligators and other personal items so that buyer can imagine it as their home and not be shocked by anything they see. All right, let's move on to the next item. And here comes the third item on our checklist. I know what price I have in mind, but I'm also okay with a little breathing room for negotiations. I love this guy. This is actually a friend of mine up in Canada. He's trying so hard to do this heavy lifting, right? And oh, if I had a nickel for every seller who got so stuck in the struggle over price. But think about it. If you saw this guy in the park, or I guess he's actually in a parking lot, would you get involved to help, or would you let him struggle through on his own? Interesting question, right? What would you do? For most of us, we'd walk away. We'd say, oh, he'll figure it out. He'll get through it, or he wants to do this on his own. And it's the same way with buyers. If they see you as a seller who's locked up and carrying this load and you really don't want help, you don't want to negotiate, they'll walk away. They might see you as someone who isn't willing to come to the table. So have an ideal price in mind, but also be willing to negotiate, because even during negotiations, even with that energy now being opened up, it's always surprising to me how another buyer will slip in and also want to bid on your house. In other words, while you're negotiating with one buyer, the right buyer might step up with the price you have in mind. And even if they don't, remember that grading curve that we looked at? We want to get your house sold within the first 30 days so that you're not carrying around the weight of a house that just won't sell because we've missed that perfect window. Okay, before we get started with the next tip, if this is the first time on this channel and you don't want to miss any tools for first-time home sellers, then take a minute to subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications. This will also help people just like you who want the best information. On this channel, we talk about how to put the most do-re-mi in your pocket when you sell your home. You know, we get calls every single day from people asking how to sell my house more quickly, and we love it. Whether you're looking to sell your house and move tomorrow or somewhere down the road, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call. We are happy to help, and the links are below. All right, let's move on to our next item. And this is number 4 on the checklist. I'm willing to go the extra mile to get the best photos and do the best staging in order to attract the best price. Let's talk about photography first, because photos are everything. A lot of agents will want to use professional photography, and for some homes, this is a good idea. A professional photographer knows how to make a home look enticing, and we definitely want to entice a buyer to come visit your home. What I'll often do is splash in a little drama with oversized accessories or plants, or maybe highlight an art piece or create a feature wall just to increase the emotions of the person viewing the photos. What makes someone click on a listing and open all the photos? Well, color and drama make the biggest impact. It raises emotions, and for most buyers, they'll want to see more of that house. So be sure your best photo is the one featured as your cover photo in the MLS. And, let me know in the comments below if you'd prefer to do your own photos, if you'd let your agent do the photos, or if you'd prefer to bring in a professional so that you'd be more likely to get the greatest ROI. Let me know in the comments below. Now, for staging, some designers feel like every room needs a splash of yellow, like yellow sunflowers. Other designers like bright electric blue because that stands out in the photos. I personally like to add a splash of red to make the photos stand out and entice someone to visit the listing. So even if it means adding colorful pillows on your white sofa or colorful flowers at your front door, these bright colors tend to raise emotion as people look at your photos. And this is what we want. We don't want people to disqualify your house because it's a sea of boring beige. And so staging is there to help bring attention, not just to raise emotion, but also to highlight the architectural features of your home. And we do that through staging with texture, shine, color, and sometimes pattern. But lighting is probably the one thing that makes the biggest impact. In all honesty, the average person feels like staging is an unnecessary expense. In reality, staging builds perceived value, and that can increase your profits. Let me say that again. Staging builds perceived value, and that can increase your profits. Just imagine seeing this room as an empty room online. Would you feel the same emotionally by looking at it as an empty space as you do right now when you see it fully staged? Be honest. Maybe you've never thought of staging as a way to increase the do-re-mi in your pocket, but here's the truth. Over 80% of staged homes will typically sell within 30 days, and it can bring a whopping 15 to 25% more to your bottom line. So I'm a big fan of getting the most do-re-mi when you sell your home, and staging is definitely a marketing strategy that I can recommend. All right, let's move on to the next item. And here is number 5 on the checklist. I have proper insurance to limit my liability during showings. Yes, you may have some liability for people tripping or falling. You may also have a situation where someone steals your medications or personal items during a very busy open house. There may even be a situation where somebody scopes out your house and looks for a convenient way to break in while you're gone to work. There is some risk when your house goes on the market. And this is why I personally never recommend a for sale sign in the yard, because it alerts to those, it alerts people who are drive-by thieves. So just be sure that you have proper insurance. All right, let's move on to the next item. And here is item number 6 on your checklist. I have a very flexible schedule for showings, knowing my house won't sell if nobody can get in. There are primarily 2 reasons a house doesn't sell. The first is because of the location. Maybe it backs up to railroad tracks, or maybe it's too close to a freeway. But one of the main reasons a house doesn't sell is because the seller won't let people in. Now, I know sometimes we get situations where maybe there's a newborn in the house, or maybe someone is super ill with a very high fever and they're contagious, or maybe 20 people from out of town just arrived. Life happens, and we know that. But for the most part, your house won't be your own for the first couple of weeks that it's on the market. I realize there are homework schedules, and a lot of people work remotely now, or maybe you have dogs, and it's a pain to get them out of the house. But for just the first couple of weeks, try to be as accommodating as you can, because this is probably the number one reason why a house doesn't sell quickly, because nobody can get in. Now, one way around this is one very specific open house strategy. So this is your bonus tip. Now, I typically don't recommend open houses because they just really don't work like they used to now that we can all see everything online. Open houses are really a way for an agent to find new clients, but they rarely sell the house anymore. Open houses just don't work that way anymore like they used to. However, that being said, if you price your house just below market and then have a weekend open house the very first weekend that you have that lower price, and no other showings are allowed until then, there's a very good chance the house will sell that weekend because it's priced a little bit lower and there's no access until that first open house. Depending on the market, it's very likely that you'll create urgency and then get more than one offer, and that will drive the price up to fair market value and above. But in the event this doesn't work, in the event this strategy just isn't right for the market that we're in at the moment, and it doesn't sell that first weekend, then move immediately into a normal showing schedule, which is typically daily until 7 p.m. All right, let's go on to the next. And this is tip number 7 on your checklist. I know how to spot a real buyer who isn't a real buyer, but is instead wasting everyone's time. I know how to find a real buyer. All right, time for a truth bomb here. Don't be distracted by a neighbor or a coworker or even a family member who says they want your house, but they're really messing around. Don't be fooled by an overseas buyer begging to buy your home and offering to send a cashier's check to hold it until they come to town. Also be aware of the opposite, the eager beaver buyer. If someone is too eager to send earnest money or a large down payment sight unseen, it might be a scam. They're trying to control you. We want to receive a full approval from a real buyer, from their lender. We want to receive proof of funds. We want to check and cross check everything. And we want the buyer's earnest money to land in escrow, because a real buyer isn't going to waste our time. A real buyer is willing to follow the process and not try and prove they're real by eagerness alone, and not try to waste anybody's time. And what we see a lot of right now, the buyer who is an investor, who pressures you to put your home under contract. They typically will not put any earnest money down because they don't actually have the money to buy your house, but they do want to tie it up in a contract in the hopes they can turn around and sell the deal for a profit to another buyer. Yeah, big, fat time waster. Buyers who buy. And for those who aren't buyers, they'll just waste a lot of time in their attempts to control us. The good news is a good real estate agent knows how to vet these issues before they become a problem. All right, let's move on. One more item on our checklist, and then I'll show you how to score it. And this is our last one, number 8. I know the 3 best questions to ask when interviewing an agent to be sure I'm hiring the best one. There are so many that I could give you here, and we are going to do a complete list in the next couple of weeks. But just as a teaser to that, I have a couple of favorites. Here's the first question you can ask an agent: how will you make my house stand out? On the short list, a good agent will suggest professional staging and photography, and may even hire an expert copywriter to write ads. They may also do live streams from your house to introduce it to the market and share on social media. And although this question, how will you make my house stand out, is a marketing question, you're actually assessing how creative the agent is. One of my favorite questions. And here's another question. How can I increase my selling price? A few small suggestions, or even just a few $100s of repairs, could increase your list price. A stager could highlight the assets and distract from the flaws. So ask your agent if there are any small things you could do to increase your selling price. And if the agent has no suggestions, they may not be working in your behalf to get the best price. And here's another favorite question for when you're interviewing agents. What are the common pitfalls I can avoid? With thousands and potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, you want an agent who will be honest with you. Ask them to honestly point out any potential mistakes or pitfalls that you can avoid. We want to expect the unexpected and be prepared for anything. All right, last but not least, I promised to show you how to score your checklist, so here we go. You'll see 8 items, the very same 8 items that we just went over. And the question is, are you ready to sell your house? Are you prepared mentally and emotionally? If you've checked at least 6 items or more, then you may be prepared to list your home for sale. How did you do? Leave your score in the comments below. No judgment. You may be ready and maybe not quite. And if you're not, is there one thing that you're struggling with the most? Leave a comment below. Now, in each of these episodes, I've promised to share with you the lighter side of real estate by featuring one crazy, stupid, silly story. These stories are my favorite part of real estate. So what do we have today? This one comes from Bernadette in Florida. She wrote me and said, my very, very, very first client ever wanted to make an all-cash offer on a $52,000 manufactured home, and I was super excited. I let the client know that what we needed was proof of funds. Well, he sent me a picture of him holding $50,000 in cash in each hand next to his face. But he was arrested the next day for possession with intent to distribute. Oh my. Leave a comment below and let me know if you've ever posted a picture on social media or sent a picture to someone that you later had regrets about. All right. Remember, when you're looking to sell your house and move tomorrow or next year or somewhere down the road, you can give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call. We'll talk about how to put the most do-re-mi in your pocket. When we see each other, you can ask about the 3 options for getting more do-re-mi from the sale of your home. I call these the 3 do-re-mi options. One of them will be just right for you, and the other 2 won't be a fit. And I look forward to going over these with you in person.